For more media content from I'll Be Honest, visit us online at I'llBeHonest.com.
I'd like you to look at a text, because in the Reformed community, I think they misdefine prophecy, actually. You know, I just had a missionary friend who's serving the Lord in China visit here in the United States, and he was in our home, and he said that his fear is that the preaching ministry in the United States of America is losing its prophetic element. Can I tell you something? John Piper has said, and maybe some of you have heard it, he prays for the gift of prophecy every time he goes into the pulpit. What are these guys talking about? Many in the Reformed community would say prophesying is nothing different than preaching. I would take issue with that, because I don't think that's what Paul means, and I'm going to show you. If you're in 1 Corinthians 14, I would have you look where he begins talking specifically about prophesying. Verse 19, "Nevertheless, in the church I would rather speak 5 words with my mind in order to instruct others than 10,000 words in a tongue. Brothers, do not be children in your thinking, be infants in evil, but in your thinking be mature. In the law it is written, by people of strange tongues and by the lips of foreigners will I speak to this people." And he keeps going on. He talks about tongues. Verse 24, "If all prophesy and an unbeliever or an outsider enters, he is convicted by all. He is called to account by all. The secrets of his heart are disclosed, and so falling on his face he will worship God, declare that God is really among you. What then, brothers? When you come together, each has a hymn, a lesson, a revelation, a tongue, and interpretation. Let all things be done for building up. If any speak in a tongue, let there be," and he goes on with that. Verse 29, "Let 2 or 3 prophets speak, and let the others weigh what is said." Now, here it is. Verse 30. I want you to see something about what Paul believes prophesying is. He says, if a revelation... Now notice, verse 29, he's speaking about prophets. "Let 2 or 3 prophets speak, and let the others weigh what is said. If a revelation is made to another aside from who? From the first prophet speaking. If there's a revelation made to a second or a third prophet sitting there, let the first be silent. For you can all prophesy one by one, so that all may learn and all may be encouraged, and the spirits of prophets are subject to prophets." Now what I would have you guys understand and see is that in verse 30, if a revelation is made to another sitting there. Here's the picture. You have one prophet speaking, others are sitting there weighing what's said, and a revelation is made to one of the prophets sitting there. Now what I'd have you understand is this. What Paul means by prophesying right there is not something pre-studied, pre-learned, premeditated upon. It is something revealed right there. Now when this missionary just was here and he said he's afraid that we're losing a prophetic element, let me tell you something. I believe a prophetic element has come back into the church by men like Piper and by men like Washer. There is a prophetic element. In other words, things are being revealed which are not necessarily studied. Now, you know, the Reformed community tends to call it things like light on their feet. Oh, they're scared to death of the terminology prophesying, just as much as they're scared of tongues. But they might have a different name for it, but I'll tell you, the Puritans believed in it. They might have called it by a different name. They might have called it, they called it something, what do they call it? The spirits. Something of that nature. But you know, you read Spurgeon's autobiography, you see that he had gifts of it. You listen to Paul Washer, you see that he's had gifts of it. You listen to John Piper, you see that he's had gifts of it. You listen to this certain missionary from China, you see that he's had gifts of it. What is this? It's things that God reveals to us. It's a Spurgeon basically declaring something that he could not otherwise know to be true. Just declare. It's Paul Washer saying somebody's going to come into this auditorium and seek to break up this service. And he's thinking, why did I say that? And somebody breaks in through the doors and tries to break up the thing. It's Spurgeon saying something about somebody in the audience and that he couldn't otherwise know, and it turns out to be true. It's John Piper saying that as he's preaching, all of a sudden things are revealed to his mind, and afterwards people come up to him and say, I really appreciated that message. Well, what was it that helped you so much? Bang, right there. The part of that message that he's saying, God gave that to me right there in the pulpit. That is a prophetic ministry. It is God giving us a word, sometimes a word that's been forgotten that the church needs. Sometimes it's things that couldn't otherwise be known. It tends to be that which is helpful for the immediate context of the church. It's comforting, it's edifying. It's not equal to the canon of Scripture. It is not. In fact, Paul says that if you know, right there at the end of the chapter, if you guys are really prophets, then you know what? Basically,